Hello, we are Madeline Quadraverduzco and Adeline Cifuentes, and this is our presentation for the project the Chef Pathway is spearheading called S.O.I.L. We will address the problems within the food industry, problems with food waste, and alternatives to throwing out food and what we are doing to combat food waste. So we hope you enjoy.
Thank you all for giving us this time to tell you about Project S.O.I.L. S.O.I.L is the name of this initiative. S.O.I.L is an acronym for Saving Our World by Investing in the Land. Our mission is to educate others on the importance of renewing resources and establishing a culture in the community of proper food waste usage to help our garden thrive. Our vision is our actions will contribute to the well-being of the land, showing others the power of a community's devotion to the earth. Even if we ourselves cannot stop climate change as well as a bastardized food industry, we can at least make a difference close to home. We refer to the food system as corrupt since importance is not placed on quality treatment of the land which raises crops, but rather on quantity and how to make the largest profit. For example, if distributing food and providing access to those who need fresh produce is not leading to a profit, it is not worth it to corporations. Our values are to lead and educate with kindness, uplift and encourage others, school-wide collaboration, follow TRR, and remember you can't run if you don't learn to walk. We can't make bigger change if we don't start small.
So let's address the problem with food waste first. So because we don't have proper infrastructures in place to dispose of food properly or to redistribute it to people who need it, roughly 1.3 billion tons of food a year is thrown out on a global scale, and that food ends up in landfills and emits a harmful greenhouse gas called methane. Methane, just like CO2, traps in heat and contributes to climate change. In the US, we waste about 108 billion pounds of food a year. All that food is edible though, and about 50% of it is wasted before it even reaches our market. 1/3 of the world's total agricultural land area is also used to grow food that is wasted, and 70% of the world's fresh water supply is used for agricultural purposes as well. Corporations that refuse to cut back on food supply production are costing our fresh water and land resources. In needing to produce more food, more land has to be cleared, leaving animals and other organisms displaced. The effects of not properly distributing food and throwing out food are costing us big time. Now let's get an understanding of the two different types of wasted food, which are food loss and food waste. And understanding the two just helps us grasp where we fit in all of this. So first, food loss. Food loss accounts for all edible food that is wasted at any stage. And this is edible food loss during the growing, harvesting, processing, packaging, and transporting stages. Oversupply in markets is also a big contributor because food that isn't sold gets thrown out in the trash, despite it being perfectly edible. So now food waste. Food waste accounts for leftovers, cosmetic imperfections, and scraps from preparing food. Now, cosmetic imperfections are a big reason why food is thrown out before it ever even reaches stores. So if the produce does not reach the retailer standards, the produce is disposed of, despite all of that food being perfectly edible. However, there are countries combating this problem by making grocery stores that specifically sell either food that does not meet retailer standards or food that was oversupplied and would have otherwise been thrown out. The produce is usually sold at half price or at a market in Toronto for anything a family can give, therefore making food also more affordable. So now let's take a moment to learn about the food recovery hierarchy. So let's get into it. All right, it's a fun little thing. Essentially, it's a list that prioritizes reducing food waste. So you've got source reduction at the tippy top. In America, we overproduce to overcompensate for the food that will get thrown out for bogus reasons, such as cosmetic imperfections. Farmers will even leave food in the fields as they know it will cost more to transport and process than to sell it. Producing less will already cut down on waste immensely. Next in the pyramid is redistributing oversupplied food to people in need. Then using food waste to feed animals. The next tier involves using food waste as renewable energy, basically separating what is and isn't compostable, and using the uncompostable goods to create renewable energy like heating your home, powering your car, etc. Goods that are compostable will end up getting composted. And the final tier in the pyramid is the last resort, which is to throw food out to the landfill. However, sadly, capitalism influences the food industry. Resources that could help families in need do not reach them because there's not much of an incentive to redistribute food other than any moral incentive. And to big corporations, it's simply not enough. However, the Chef Pathway refuses to idly ignore this, which is why we created this project, to make the school more aware of the food waste problem around the world. We won't be able to fix it overnight, but we as a school can try to reduce the amount we throw away. Even if we make a small difference, it's still a step in the right direction. There are an abundance of ways to combat the food waste problem, but for now we will focus on composting and giving back to the land, or well, our garden. So let's learn about composting.
How does it work? Composting involves mixing biodegradable materials, also known as organic matter, to create an inhabitable environment for decomposers. As the waste decomposes, aerobic decomposition occurs. Aerobic simply means it involves oxygen. What goes in the heap? Food scraps, yard trimmings. Scraps that cannot be added to the pile include meat and fish, which may attract animals, and animal manure has the possibility of introducing disease to the soil. Benefits of composting include nutrient-rich soil, which leads to successful plant growth for our garden, a reconnection with the land, lessening methane gas which is produced from the decomposition of food and yard waste in landfills, lessening of CO2 caused during the transportation of waste from our homes and large businesses to the landfill. Behind the Chef Hub in the garden, there is a spot to dispense of your food waste.
Thank you for your time, and we hope you enjoyed it. Now being armed with this information, we hope you can all be more conscious and participate with us. Happy composting!